Hi everyone, and welcome to Wisdom Window Wednesday. My name is Heidi Todd, and I'm the marketing director at Wisdom Window. And today we are going to be talking about the 8 steps that you need to take in order to create your online course. I am joined by Wisdom Window CEO Brooks Anderson, and we are going to be sharing with you the steps that we use to train all of our providers on the Wisdom Window platform. Welcome, Brooks. Thanks for joining me today.
Heidi, thank you. It's my pleasure. It's a wonderful day, beautiful on this side of the globe. I don't know how it is back east. I think they're getting a lot of snow, pretty cold, but it's good here. It can almost be a golf day.
Oh, almost a golf day. Well, my dad's been golfing all winter long and he's perfectly happy. So awesome. Well, you know, Brooks, in 2015, online education is predicted to double, and Wisdom Window is committed to helping speakers, trainers, authors, and coaches be ahead of that curve. The quote goes something like this: brilliant minds innovate, but wealthy people duplicate and automate. So by the end of this webinar, we want you to be able to take advantage of the massive explosion that we are seeing in online education to create, build, and sell your course. And we also, of course, want to give you those 8 actionable steps that will help you to do this. Now, these 8 steps are the steps that I take every time I'm building out a book, an audio course, a video course, or even a speaking go this that I know teach my students. So we are going to start off by hearing about the Wisdom Window story and why it's so important to us that you be successful in your online course. Brooks, I'm turning it over to you.
Oh my gosh, Heidi. Well, first of all, let me take just a moment and thank everyone for being on this call with us. Time is an important commodity and probably one of the things that we have the least of, or we can't at least control it once it's gone. And so I just like to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy lives to spend this time with us. I hope that they'll find it valuable. I have in the past, and I'm making every effort. I'm sure you are too, Heidi, to assure that this time will be very well spent for those who participate with us. First of all, I'd kind of like to start with my story. In years past, I've built and sold a number of companies. Most of them have been what I would call mainstream, not necessarily internet companies. One of them that comes to my mind is a business that was a check clearinghouse. We literally were providing electronic check banking back in the 90s, early 90s through the 90s for people. We were sought after by Visa card. They were wanting to buy us. We were the largest check clearinghouse in the country, and just going places, doing wonderful things. It was amazing based on the what's called Reg E, the electronic banking processes that came out in 1993. But that was a very successful business. We grew by $40 million in our first year and a half. So you can see it was a pretty decent company. However, starting Wisdom Window was a unique learning experience for me. I thought we would go down the same road in terms of marketing, advertising, and sales and so forth. And I've got to tell you, I got hit between the eyes with what internet marketing is all about. Found myself rethinking our model and how we were going to do it and what we would do and how we would be successful at this. What I had learned, I knew that this was the right space for us to be in, Heidi. We know from federal government studies that 104 million employees today are currently wishing they had different skills than they currently have. They are wishing they could go to their current job leadership or to new jobs and market themselves for new positions that they might be more inclined to be excited about. We're not finding that people are wanting to leave necessarily the company that they're in, but they're wanting to increase their skill set so that they can qualify for other jobs. The problem is they don't know where to go to take these kinds of courses to get this education and learn. It's not that they need to go to formal institutions for those kinds of educations. That's expensive. It's time consuming. It takes them away from the workplace or from their after work lives in terms of being parents or other things that they might be involved in. And so they're trying to find ways to fit it into the four corners of their busy days. And what they're doing is they're looking to the internet. They're looking to sources like Wisdom Window to find these areas where they can learn and grow. And you said it, Heidi, earlier, that people are wanting to transform themselves. This industry is growing. It's growing dramatically. And so Wisdom Window has found itself looking at the space of transformational learning. And this is a place where people can come in and glean the information that they want in the topics that they feel are of most value to them, and do it on their own time. The other thing that I wanted to say, and this brings me back to our story, developing an internet business is amazing. As I was saying, it's different than traditional businesses. People are constantly looking at this and saying, well, I think I know what I'd like to teach. I'm pretty good at it. I have people coming to me all the time. I'm a coach, I'm an author, I'm a teacher, instructor, and I'm doing business with people one-to-one, but I'd like to take this into the internet and do, as you said, Heidi, duplicate and replicate what they're doing so they can make more money while they're other places and they're not personally engaged in their business. The problem is how do I do this? I've got to get a website. That means I've got to get a URL. I'm not even sure what URL stands for, but I've got to go get one of those. I've got to develop a style guide. What are my fonts going to look like? What will my colors that I use look like? Oh my gosh, I've got to get a logo. How am I going to present myself? So they go through that process. Well, I better get a webmaster, somebody who can design the website for me. The webmaster is not skilled at writing this person's business model. They're just there to build what the person tells them. So now they find themselves offering copy. They see the copy go up on the site and realize that's not what they wanted to say, or it's not capturing the essence of their business quite as well as they'd like. So now they're going back to the webmaster, paying them to rewrite or to replace, cut and paste, if you will, the copy that they've rewritten. On top of that come the other things that just get daunting to people that are first-time business on the internet. We're talking about CRMs, direct emails. We've got to develop ways to close people. So now we're putting together funnels, sales funnels, taking people through these sales funnels. How do I do that? What's the most process? I've heard of lead pages. What is that? How do I use that? What does that do to help me capture my audience? Now I've got to develop a way to build my audience. I've got to build my names, the people that are following me. All these things now become critical to being successful in a business. I don't even know how to do that. And on top of that, now I've got to figure out how I take my content and I take it from a book or from my personal live presentation and put it into a format in an e-space where people can now learn from me over the internet. These are difficult things. What I'd like to say, and hopefully today the people that are with us will be able to learn exactly how to do that. They can go from where they are today to where they need to be on the internet by utilizing this. These are the things that I think people will find extremely valuable for us. The one thing I'd like to do, Heidi, and I want these people to be thinking about their content a little bit in terms of a physical item, even though it might not be. It might just be a talk that they've given or a presentation. They're public speakers. So it might be an event that they did. But I would liken this very much to like clothing that they might be selling in a store. In my early years, I worked at Nordstrom. And one of the things that we were forced to do was change our floor, our retail floor around every night. So the next day when people came in, it looked different than when they were in yesterday. We wanted to have them go through different aisles, different places, see the inventory in a different fashion so that they were intrigued, might find something else that they might want to buy. So I would say your business is much like that. If I were going to start a business today in retail clothing, I could go to all the best names, brand names, those names that everybody wants. I could buy the blouses and the skirts, the suits and the ties and the pants. I could buy the shoes and the purses and the wallets, everything I need. I've got them here in my arms, and now I'm walking down the street with all my inventory in a big pile in my arms, and I see a business a shopping mall off to the left, and I think, well, there we go. They've got a vacancy, so I'm going to go into that strip mall and sign a lease. I find the leasing agent there, and I reach over the clothes and sign the lease agreement. He opens the door. I take my clothes in and drop them in the middle of the floor and sit down on a chair and say, okay, I'm ready to do business. I've got my inventory. It's here on the floor. I got a store. I'm in a great location. Isn't this great? But then nobody comes, and I'm disappointed. Nobody's buying from me. Why? Well, we've got to merchandise this. We've got to get shelves. We've got to get hanging rods and fixtures to hang these things on. We've got to have proper lighting. We've also got to consider our carpeting. What do our fixtures look like? Do they look good? Are they presentable? Do they make our clothing look presentable? Do I have the women's clothing in one area and the men's clothing in another? What about the shoes? Have I separated them? All these things are critical to be successful in normal business. Now I've got to get mannequins. I've got to dress those mannequins in the various clothes that I have and show people what it'll look like if they buy these clothes. I've got to get signage on the outside. I've got to do advertising. Got to get people to come in the store. Now all of a sudden I can sit down and watch people come in and they want to buy. Heidi, this is what you and I are offering people as a way to take their clothing from the middle of the store and put it into fixtures. Get the right lighting. Get the mannequins, the signage, and drive people to their store so they can sell. I think what we have is very powerful, and I think people will appreciate what they're about to learn. Take it from me. I got into business early in my life. I've built some very successful businesses. I've stumbled, and most of the time when I transitioned over to internet sales and marketing. And so I would say, learn from us. Learn from what we've done. Don't recreate your own will. Build off of the will that we have. That's what I would suggest to people. What do you think, Heidi?
You know, I totally agree, and I think that so often, in fact, I remember a few years ago, about 4 years ago, when people were first even starting to hear the word autoresponder, and it was just such a foreign concept that a normal everyday person could build an email list and be able to send out to every contact on their list at the same time. And now it's in the internet marketing world, that's very mainstream. But if you're a speaker, trainer, author, or coach, your focus may have been on actually speaking and developing your speaking platform versus building the business and support business around it. Well, that's great if you're speaking all the time. We're to the point where if you aren't a single day, people still want to learn your content. If you have something to give them and a place to take them further, then that is really powerful, not only for your business but also for your speaking platform. And just as a case in point, one of our providers, Chris Barney, her company is All Things Possible, and Chris had some digital content, but it wasn't in a format like you said, the physical product. It wasn't in a format that she could sell when she would go to her speaking engagements. And so what was happening is that she was taking just a little piece of paper and she was putting it on the seats of the people in the room. Well, we know what happens with a piece of paper. You just toss it or you throw it in your bag or whatever, and then you don't look at it again. And so what we were able to create with her was that digital content, but also the physical products so that she could sell both. And the first event that she went to, that after she had her jewel case with her audio CDs so that people could take her home with them and listen further, when that happened, she was able to generate an income off of what were free speaking gigs. And it was amazing because she hadn't had that before. So sometimes it's just those little tweaks in your business and automating your content that make the huge difference. Another case study, we work with Cynthia Sumner, who is a holistic health coach, and she was doing one-on-one consultations with people and group consultations, but didn't have anything automated. She created a 12 audio program that she put up on Wisdom Window and sold about 75 of them within a couple of weeks. Really powerful for her and for her business, especially in being able to get the word out. And so when people put their content out on marketing platforms, they have exposure to a much bigger audience than the one that they can grow with their own email list. So duplicating your content and using the 8 steps that we're about to teach, and then putting it on a platform like Wisdom Window. If you are a speaker, trainer, author, or coach in the transformational space, that is going to be really powerful for your business and help you to generate additional income that you're not getting from just speaking on the stage. So Brooks, how hard is this really? Because, you know, my mom's 70, and when we talk about you know, what she wants to automate and duplicate, she helps people with their editing. And so she does editing for blogs and books. She edited my book that comes out next week. And so if she were to do a series to train people, and she's 70 years old, is that going to be difficult because she doesn't have, you know, all of the hardware and software? Tell us a little bit about the myths about how hard this is.
Oh, wow. You know, that is just perfect to lead on to what I was saying earlier. People they get overwhelmed with what they think they have to do. All this learning, you know, I'm good at this. Why do I have to do that too? The reality is with Wisdom Window, they don't have to, and that's the beauty of this. Myths are things that they think they've got to buy expensive equipment. I've got to buy a camera. I've got to buy lighting equipment, sound equipment. I've got to get a studio. What about a green screen? What about a white screen? How do I do all of this? Now all of a sudden they think they've got to become actors or actresses. Not necessarily so. Those things are nice to have. I'm not going to say that you couldn't, but in terms of a camera and sound equipment, you can do it off of a simple smartphone. And I would suggest they just learn how to use that. The cameras on those are phenomenal. A little bit of lighting with maybe even just a lamp, and the sound quality of their smartphone can get them a long ways down the road. In fact, all over the internet today we see very successful people doing just that sort of thing. They've got selfies going on. I don't know if you've seen a selfie stick. You can mount your phone on the end of a stick, and now you can control that. And everywhere you go, you can show people what it's looking at, and it can be you. It can be just that simple in the way you present, so it doesn't have to be expensive equipment. The other thing I find that people talk about is, oh my gosh, before I get going, I really have to build a large list. I've got to have a large group of followers, and that's just not so. You need to just start with those that care about you in terms of a loved one. It could be a mother, a father, a daughter, a son. It could be a cousin or just a good friend. All we need to do is start with people who are like that will like us, like what we're doing, and share it with their friends. If we can do that, it can just start to grow out, and you can build your list, you know, just through simple viral growth. It could be organic in nature, and that's all it takes. We're not going to become the biggest marketers on the internet overnight, so let's just settle back and agree to understand that that's what we're going to be. Another thing that people think is, I've got to have my book or my course completely baked before I can take it and put it out on the shelf to sell it. And that's not true either. When I was a kid, I remember sitting on the counter with my mom while she would bake cookies. And I loved to eat the cookie dough. Well, the cookie dough is not a finished baked cookie, but it's still pretty darn good. And that's the way our courses ought to be. Let's go ahead and start sharing them with people. Let's let them experience it. Let them tell us what resonates and what doesn't. And from there, we can take this cookie and make it a little bit better. Add a pinch of that, a tab of that, and cook it. And now people will really like it. So I would say that. So here is my philosophy, and it's just a simple phrase, and that is, done is better than perfect. Just get it done. You can perfect it later. That comes over time anyway. Let me give you a perfect example. Back in the 90s, mid-90s, a company then was merging that we all know, but at the time they were starting a garage. They didn't have a lot of money. They had a name, and that was about it. They had the idea of what they wanted the company to be. 2 years later, they were still struggling. They received a little bit of funding based on the nature of what their product was going to be. They were building a search engine. They had a way to make it faster and better than the other search engines that were out there at the time. We had Yahoo, we had Dogpile, we had Vista and other search engines, if you remember those. I might be dating myself here. But this company finally launched really in about 1997, and that company is Google. Today, Google is something completely different than it was then. It was an amazing search engine, and it still is today, but Google is YouTube, Google Glass, we have Google Earth, we've got Google this and Google that. They're a massive company, massive. And they just started in a garage in 1995. Today, you could be the same thing. Just get going. Just get your content going, and you'll do marvelous. Wisdom Window can help you with that and help you get over the hump of what do I do next, where do I go?
All right, well, on that note, we are going to jump into these 8 steps to build an e-course, and this is going to be absolutely the bulk of this webinar. And so I hope that you have paper and pencil out, because I am going to give you the best stuff that we've got. Okay, if you can get through these 8 steps, I promise you, you will have a map for building out your book, your audio course, your video course, and even if you want to do an event, it will help you with that as well. So, step number 1, pick your topic. I know that this seems like it's very obvious, but it's amazing, and I'm guilty of this myself. It's amazing of how often we jump from topic to topic, because we're diverse people and we know a lot, and we can train on a lot of different things. When we talk about picking your topic in educational and in the transformational space especially, that really encompasses areas such as mind, body, spirit, business, relationships. It's kind of all of the things that people go and look for when they want to transform their life. What do you know that you can teach? What experiences have you had? You may be struggling thinking, well, I'm not an expert on relationships, and then you've been married for 30 years. You can teach people how to stay married for 30 years. There are so many things that people need to learn specifically from you. What I want you to do is brainstorm and create an outline based on your experience and what you have in your arsenal to teach. As I mentioned, Chris Varney has been through so many things. She has had, it was in a 1-year time period, she had cancer in her family several times, brain tumors, going through a lot of painful all and from able to fit into positive service for others. And that's why her company is called All Things Possible, because she teaches you how to overcome whatever is thrown at you, and she gives you the tools and the mindset and the resources to do that. If she hadn't had those experiences, she wouldn't have felt inspired to teach other people how to get through hard things. So what are the things that you have gone through and experienced in your life that you could turn around and teach other people? Do brainstorm and create an outline. Don't think that you have to cover 18 topics in one course. Just pick one to get started. When I was writing my book, my writing mentor said, I was going into these kind of complex business principles that I had learned over the years, and he said, whoa, take a step back. We need to start with kindergarten. My book is on balancing business and homeschool, and so I was leaving the homeschool part out because I was just doing what I on business principles. So I took a step back and I said, what are the basics? And I had to go back in my mind 3 years to where I was when I first started balancing business and homeschool in order to remember the feelings and the emotions and the experiences I was having at that time. So again, do brainstorm and create an outline. Don't think you have to cover 18 topics. Start with just one. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, break down that topic into 10 to 12 sections and define what they will learn in each section. In my book, and I'm just using that as an example right now because it's so fresh in my mind, I really have 3 major parts. The first part is create a vision of what you want, and that applies to this this training as well. Create a vision of what you want and what you want to teach. And then number two, find the systems and the tools and the people and the resources that will support that happening. When I broke down my topic into three main parts, I realized that I people to and then to find resources that they would need in order to make it happen. So when I defined what they would learn in each section and I broke it down into further into chapters, I was able to really organize my content. The hardest courses to follow are the ones without the organized content. So be as clear as possible about the content. This training is 8 steps to creating your e-course, meaning we have 8 very defined steps for you. That keeps it very clear and concise so that you know exactly what to do after you get done watching this webinar. So be very clear about your content, and here's what's interesting. Don't assume that your students already know what you know. And I'm going to share a story about my mom on this one. Several years ago, my mom was asked by a woman at her church to make a Jell-O salad for a function. This is a favorite story. I'm planning on telling it at my mom's funeral. Anyway, and so she was given the recipe by her on the phone with her. So you quarter them, and that's all she said. So my mom thought it was a little strange. She's not really a connoisseur of Jell-O salad, and therefore she hadn't made it very often, and she thought it was a weird recipe, but she did it anyway. And when she went to the function, she had her Jell-O salad in her Pyrex dish with long quartered banana strips. And her friend said, "Oh, what am I supposed to do with this? Why didn't you chop up the bananas?" My mom said, "You didn't tell me to chop up the bananas. All you did was tell me to quarter them." And her friend said, "But no, on the phone, I went like this." You know, often we do that in our minds where we leap to the next step and we think that we are being clear, but in reality, the person that we are training has missed an entire step in that. And to make a long story short, my mom's friend just to see if we need funny. Your student already knows what you know. Say, where are the gaps? Where do they need to be filled in? So define what they learn in each section and don't assume that your students already know. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is define your student, and the more detail, the better. Your course is not going to be for every single person on the planet, even if you think it is. There is a specific market and audience out there that needs to learn from you. I'm a big believer in that. I've seen it over and over and over again. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many health coaches, so many business coaches, so many financial advisors. There is room in this market for what you have to offer, okay? But your course is not for everyone. So the more you focus on your ideal student, and here's a hint, your ideal student is probably someone very much like you. So when you are designing that, ask questions like, where do they shop? How many kids do they have? What keeps them up at night? What hobbies do they like to, what do they like to do for their hobbies? Where do they like to travel? What do they do with their friends? Are they socially, are they an introvert or an extrovert? When you are clear about that, that helps you with your marketing message. It helps you throughout the entire creation of the course because you can visualize in your mind the person who is going to be taking this course. For me, in writing my book on balancing business and homeschool, I was envisioning a mom like me. I wasn't envisioning a mom that had chickens in her backyard. I was envisioning a mom who said, oh my gosh, I want to homeschool, I want to run a business, I want to do these things, I have all this passion for life, I would love to have a business that is automated and duplicated so that I can travel with my children so we can have all these great experiences and they can learn right in the environment. Go to the Old North Church and see where Paul Revere started his. I was envisioning, and that's who I'm attracting for this book. When you focus on your ideal student, it gives you comfort because you know that you are helping the exact people that need to be helped. So do focus on that. And don't make your course so generic that your ideal student wouldn't even recognize themselves. That is a big challenge that speakers, trainers, authors, and coaches go through, is that they think, I'm so clear, I've made this so clear, but I'm getting all of these people who really are not my target audience. When you break it down and you visualize that person through the whole process, it makes it much, much simpler when you turn to your marketing. Okay, so we've gone over 3 steps. Pick your topic, break down that topic into 10 to 12 sections, small sections. People learn, especially in this stage, learn in pieces of information. Bigger course, much more detailed, with a lot of steps that you can take. But right now we're focusing on just getting you started and giving you that information that you need just to take that first step. Because if we were to give you all of the information you need for down the road, like how to record and what to use and all of that, that would be too far down the road for you. Right now, you just need to focus on taking that first step, which is getting started. And so when you break it down into 10 to 12 sections, the beginning sections can be focused on all of those little steps that you need to take, and then the ending part can be the more detail, but take them through the process that you went through. And then number 3, define your student. All right, so number 4 is define your takeaways. As much as you are loved and adored by everyone on this planet, which change for you are, students are love and adore you. Your students are taking your course because they want to transform their lives, because they want to learn something from you so that they can make their own changes. How are their lives going to be transformed or changed by taking your course? For the people that are on this webinar and the people that take our 8-step course, their lives are transformed because they are creating a product that they can sell over and over and over again. They are duplicating and automating themselves. In fact, I had a mentor who used to say, I have to pass the bus test. And she would periodically go through her team and say, okay, if I get hit by a bus, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, and you're doing this. Your business needs to pass the bus test. If you don't have this automated content that can be sold over and over again to your ideal student, then if something happens to you, your business stops. So when you're defining this change for people, be very clear. We talked about your ideal student, so be very clear about what your ideal student is going to go through. Do create massive value. I would rather see people teach everything that they know than to hold back. And the reason why is that if I teach you everything that I know and I just give you all of that content, are you still going to want to work with me? Absolutely. If you have a transformational experience with all of my free content, then why wouldn't you want me to help you implement that, right? That happens to me all the time, where I talk to people, I share all these tools, I give them all of this content, I train them on all of these things, and they say, I still need your help. I still would like your help in actually making this happen. So giving them as much value as possible in your course will just attract the right client to you. Just trust me on this. And I'm not saying that you have to do it all in one course. Like I said, start with kindergarten, but give them the option of where they go from here. How can they work with you? Do you have a group coaching program? Do you have one-on-one coaching? Do you have additional programs that are available to them? I'll use Brendon Burchard as an example. He has his Total Product Blueprint, which is a $2,000 plus program, but he also has smaller programs along the way that can get you up to that big program. So he offers ways to learn from him all along the way, and he gives massive value. You watch one of his videos on YouTube, and you can actually take it and implement it and make money off of it in your business. So do create massive value. Do let me know how I'm going to change from taking your course, and don't be afraid to give it your all. Number 5, as Brooks mentioned, launch your course before you start. Why would we do this? My very first college class, was a Psych 101 class, and I walked in and I sat down and I had my textbook that I bought at the bookstore, and the course hadn't started yet. Now, I knew it was Psych 101. I knew I was going to be learning psychology. I had the book, I had the materials, but the professor still needed to teach me. So if you launch your course before it's created, a few things will happen. One is that as you record it, as you go along, you'll be able to course correct. You'll be able to get feedback from your students. Even if you say, I need 5 students who are willing to go through this course with me as I create it so that I can get feedback, so that I make sure that I am teaching all of the most valuable content that I have and that I'm answering all of your questions. That is going to be so powerful for this course. It also gives you testimonials. It also holds you accountable. The reason why I was able to write this book, which I started around Thanksgiving in 2014, and now it's February 2015, so I wrote it in a short period of time. The reason why I was able to do that was because I had a writing mentor who was holding me accountable. When you have students that are holding you accountable and you have to show up for those students, then you will show up and you will get things done. If you have a random down the road, I'm going to write a book. We've all heard that story. I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book. I had that in my head too. Well, I know I need to write the book. But when somebody stepped up and said, you're going to write the book because you're going to send me chapters every single week, and I'm going to read them, and I'm going to give you feedback on them, suddenly it's a game changer. Suddenly I have to show up for somebody else. If I launch my course before I do that, then I'm going to show up for my students. I'm running an accountability group right now that is a fundraiser for cows and goats in Kenya. And excuse me, and because I mapped it out, I have these calls every single week. I have to show up for them. People are relying on me to run the calls and to help them to move their lives forward in this accountability group. So go ahead and launch your course, and don't procrastinate just because you don't have students. Go find 5 people that are willing to go through the course with you. Like I said, take the leap. I promise you it will help you move forward and get things done. And as Brooks said, done is better than perfect. It gives you a map, and you can course correct later, and you can perfect it later. And actually, you really can't perfect. Honestly, as Brooks said, you don't have to be tech savvy, but I think that that is the misconception about creating an online course. I have been, as I've been launching my book, I've been doing videos on my phone, and I just go outside and stand on my deck, and I create a video, and then I upload it to Facebook. This morning I did a video on my computer with some software that I downloaded a couple of years ago called Debut that helps me to make videos. There is software like Camtasia or ScreenFlow for Mac, or even a Google Hangout. I've seen entire courses created from Google Hangout, from a webinar like GoToMeeting or ClickWebinar. There is so much out there. It's finding what works for you and your format. In fact, I have a friend right now that's taking me through a course, and it's all Google Hangouts that she's recording, and then we just get access to the video recording. The important thing is that you have a computer that has a fast processor. I have a friend who's launching a webcast right now, and her computer, she bought it in 2007, and so she's really struggling because she's not able to upload as fast as she needs to and get everything organized. So keep current in your processor speed, because that will help you with video as well. The software, as I mentioned, Camtasia and ScreenFlow for Mac, and where to host. That's another big problem, because I have people ask me all the time, well, I'm a web developer or branding. I don't know what to do with all of that. How am I going to get this course out to people? That is where Wisdom Window can really help. We have seen a big surge of platforms that can host online courses. There are like Lynda, which is technology focused, Udemy, Wisdom Window. There are many out there, Coursera. What we're seeing is that these platforms are fantastic for marketing and branding. And when you put your content on these platforms, it allows you to get your stuff out to their audience, because it's the cumulative effect of driving traffic to one platform. I guarantee you that these platforms will rank higher than your website ever will, because there's so much volume coming to it. In fact, just as a test, go Google yourself and see what comes up first. Sometimes it's your website, but sometimes, or Facebook. Or, in fact, if you Google my name, Heidi Totten, you get LinkedIn first. And so I'm going to manage that platform. It's a marketing platform for me, because I can put my bio, my resume, where I've worked, what I do. I can even put videos on there. That it's important for me to manage that. Same with something like Wisdom Window. When you put your content on Wisdom Window, then we help to market you, we help to train you, and we become a collaborative partner for you. So that brings me to step number 7, which is get feedback. Ask, 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 ask. We often think we're being clear because we know what's in our head, but when you ask for feedback, it allows you to shift and adapt to the level of your student. In fact, I was doing a training just this past weekend, and I said, well, just use Google Hangouts. And then I paused, and I said, how many of you have ever used a Google Hangout? Because I did a year and a half, and to me, it's just what I do. And about maybe 5 people raised their hand to say yes. And so I had to backtrack, and I said, okay, let's talk about Google Hangouts for just a second, because this is a very powerful tool that you can use that Google has provided for free. And so making that assessment, asking for feedback, and getting the response from your audience that they maybe aren't where you are yet, and then you're able to teach them. That just gives them so much confidence in you and your ability, as well as letting go of your ego and being able to take a step back and really serve them. Because that's what this is all about, is really wanting to serve the people that you can help the most and help them to have their own transformational experience. So ask, ask, ask for feedback, and don't make the assumption about their knowledge. And then finally, step number 8 is ongoing marketing and networking. I often see people just throw a course on their website and say, okay, come on in and buy. Now that your course is created, the fun begins. How are people going to find out about your course? We've talked about that a little bit through all of these 8 steps, but truly I want to encourage you, if you have $100 in your marketing budget, instead of throwing that on Facebook ads and saying, well, I'm just going to shoot fish in the ocean and see what hits and try and hit a target audience, consider marketing platforms that allow you to reach their audience. There is so much power in collaboration and joint ventures, and people have grown their list, grown their followings by collaborating with each other and bringing powerful value. We have so many providers on Wisdom Window with great content, and that benefits you. People need to know that your course exists, and how are you going to get it out? Now, I am saying absolutely host your content on your website as well, but where else? Where else does your name need to be? And this is the struggle that our providers had when they came to Wisdom Window. And this is what we were experiencing. We were assuming that they all had their content automated, but really they came to us to help them, which is why we started these webinars, because we realized we need to train people on these steps that they need to take, because truly, how powerful will it be if we can all learn from each other and we all have that option to choose? Again, it's not a crowded market. I have worked with so many different health coaches over the years, all with their different personality and their different flavors. Sometimes I've been in the mood to work with people who are high energy and who are really into the fitness side of it and working out and strength training. And other times I wanted to work with people who are more into holistic health based eating in their approach. The right will know that you exist. So we have created an opportunity for you to be mentored by our team at Wisdom Window in order to design, create, and market your content. And I'm going to turn it over to Brooks to talk to you about what that looks like.
Well, thanks, Heidi. Those 8 steps are amazing. I hope that people were taking notes. Those are absolutely critical to developing your content and getting it in a place where it can be ready to be put on the internet, where people can find it and learn from it and enjoy it. So thank you for sharing that. I would like to just expand real quickly on the value of something like Wisdom Window. You were spot on when you said, absolutely, these people need to put their content on their own websites. Please, by all means, do that. Seek any place where you can be successful. Make sure you get your content any place where people can find it. That's critical. But how do we get there? What's our next step? Those are the things that just get daunting to people. And so I would suggest this. Find platforms where you can easily upload your content and they will represent you in a way that you feel is consistent with your message. That's what Wisdom Window is about. Again, we're looking for coaches and teachers and mentors and authors who have content or will follow your steps, Heidi, and develop their content in transformational learning in ways that they can help these people to change their lives in a way through self-help, through other measures that can make them more marketable or just create a more whole person with what they ultimately want themselves to be. Wisdom Window is one of those platforms. We hear about used platforms all the time. We may not realize what those entities that we're using are platforms, but eBay is a platform. It's nothing more than a place where people put their garage sale stuff to sell it. Obviously, it's morphed a little bit more beyond just garage selling, but that's really what it is. It's a garage sale platform. You mentioned Facebook. Facebook is a platform. It's just nothing more than a platform where people find each other and communicate with each other in the ways that they want to. Another platform that we use all the time is YouTube. It's just a place to put our videos. It's a place where people might discover us. Those are all great platforms. Wisdom Window is nothing more than a platform. It's a place where you can upload your content, your courses, in a way that you can teach people to follow you, to learn from you, and to benefit from your instruction, and make it so it can be monetized. So with Wisdom Window, you can put your content up, and you can offer a course free. You can offer the course at a price, or you might offer part of the course free and part of the course at a price. That's up to you. You get to set those parameters. On top of that, we give you all kinds of wonderful tools to help you merchandise, to help you manage through analytics. What's going on with your content? Are people viewing it? Are they converting into sales? If not, why? What do I need to do to change? We have support staff here at Wisdom Window that you can contact through email or by phone during business hours and get instruction and help there. So what would I suggest? I would say this, Heidi. For those people on and listening and watching, just scroll down to the bottom of your page there and you will find a join or become a provider. I can't remember what the button says, but they can just push the button there and it'll take them to Wisdom Window where they can become a provider. Today we're offering a very special offer, and that is you can put up one course for $47 a month. That is a huge bargain. You can't build a website, you can't find a website, you can't get anywhere where you can really do what Wisdom Window can do for you for the low, low price of $47. Get in, get your stuff uploaded. If at the end of the month you don't like us, we understand, you can cancel, and we'll give you your money back. That's how confident I feel about this product, about what satisfaction people will have. So don't waste time. It's time to get going. Go join today. Get that window for your course for $47. And then let's help you. Let's help you through this e-course process that Heidi talked about. Let's help you upload your content and get you going. But please remember, done is better than perfect. And just start sharing your cookie dough before the cookies are cooked, okay?
And I love cookie dough, and now I'm craving cookies, so thanks for that, Brooks. And I just really want to encourage you to jump on this opportunity to be part of the movement of people who are getting their online courses put up and shared with the world. There are so many people. This isn't just about business. There are so many people that need the information that you have, that are dying, that are struggling, that are challenged every day, and they want to transform. They need the help in their life. And if you have that help for them, then it is your obligation to get it into a format, and it will help people. I'm leaving for Kenya and excited to go to people. It's a humanitarian trip. And how powerful is it that I am able to take that knowledge to them, but that I also have a way to communicate with them afterward because of platforms like Facebook or LinkedIn or Wisdom Window, places where I can continue my conversation with them and continue to train them. I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful that we live in a world where this is possible, because when I was in high school, if you had said to me, hey, that phone that you're using all the time, you're going to be able to make videos out of it. I mean, what? We were carrying around like huge VHS tape video equipment, and we thought we were cool. In fact, I still have some. I probably need to convert them. Still have some big VHS tapes from those videos. So I just want to encourage you, jump on this movement. It is so powerful and can really create change. That change the world. Just the first 100 opportunity will be in a webinar with me where I will interview you, I will help you set up the content, and we will help to launch your course from the Wisdom Window platform. $47 a month for all of this value is phenomenal, and I highly recommend that you jump on it. Go ahead and click the button to join Wisdom Window and come play with us, and we will help you get your knowledge and your wisdom out to the world. Thank you so much for joining me today, Brooks, and I look forward to talking with you more next week.
Great. Thank you, Heidi. It's my pleasure. I look forward to seeing you next week as well.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.